Hey y'all, it's Ash. Well, we did it. Thanks to all my Twihards, we go to a second video for New Moon. I am so excited to dive back into my Forks, Washington. I just want to place an early disclaimer. If you haven't seen these movies or read the books, I highly recommend you do so. You will definitely get some kicks and giggles, and I don't doubt you will find the love triangle to be not uninteresting, because it gets interesting. Sadly, this is the movie that has the least amount of screen time for our Team Edward fans, but that doesn't mean we still don't get emotionally involved in either party. We still got Team Jacob diehards rooting for his ending with Bella. Let's just say New Moon sets the ballgame for a fight for Bella's love, basically begins. Don't worry, this video won't just be about who is fighting who and rooting for who. This is a book versus movie. The entrance scene provides part of Romeo's sonnet. These violent delights have violent ends, and in their triumph, like fire and powder, which, as they kiss, consume. Then we enter to a toll sound, and Bella runs through a crowd of red, and it stops, soon before Edward is seen in daylight. We then enter into the meadow with Bella, Edward, and Gran. Gran is perfectly mimicking Bella, and we see that Gran is alone, yet someone should be beside her. What the crypt is going on? Bella realizes Gran is her. Bella then wakes up from her nightmare. The fear of aging and being left behind by Edward really has her scared. And this nightmare is about also her birthday, reminding her that she is now older than Edward. Although technically she isn't older than him by like vampire calendar years, because Edward is like 109 years old. But y'all know this world revolves around Bella. And that is where the most details of the book and the movie coincide together, basically scene for scene, even word by word. No worries, the slight changes in development was generally for the better, or even made sense for what they were trying to place on the screen. For example, Charlie giving Bella her birthday present was heartwarming yet humorous. New Moon gives Charlie what I feel the most development and on-screen time. They are setting you up to feel for Charlie. They give him a well-needed father card. All he wants to do is see Bella happy, even if he struggles to show emotions and decides to place a small, sarcastic comment or even joke here or there. It is all about fatherly affection and protection. Come on, he is only human. What more can you expect from him? Bella goes to school and finds out by Alice that she is to be joining them later tonight in the Cullens' abode for a light party celebration. Jasper utilizes his gift of emotions, which is the first time we physically see him take this action, at least in the movie. His gift of controlling emotions gradually gets used more and more in the movies and even in the books, which is nice, but that's to be discussed more in future videos. Of the Cullen family, we do get the most screen time of Alice and Edward. In the movie, Rosalie and Emmett are on their honeymoon trip, says the book, but they don't give much background in the movie, just that they are too old now to go to school. Now, I know a lot of viewers are for Team Jacob. We get Jacob lightly making his first moment of screen time for this movie. There is a light banter between Bella and Jacob that seems randomly off for not really having Jacob present in the previous movie, but he still has his long hair, and clearly he is a lot more built. They talk about adult steroids aren't good for health, and we know his car is nearly working. Jacob even mentions hanging out more, and his appearances won't seem so drastic. Jacob is allowed to then give Bella a dreamcatcher gift, and Edward, being the jealous type, points it out. So, we got our direction for Jacob's story in this movie. He's gonna lose his haircut, cross my fingers. He's gonna get a lot more buff, cross my fingers for shirtless moments. And we're gonna get more quality time with Jacob and the Coyettes. Well, we all know this will happen. The interesting part is that they place Jacob way earlier than the book. We actually don't get Jacob till chapter 5 when Bella brings the motorcycles to him. Clearly, we see the buildup of having Jacob in the story sooner rather than later. While we are in class, we get more Romeo and Juliet discussions around the 1960s video classic. In the movie, we have Edward explain his thoughts of envy for Romeo during class. He has tried different ways of death, but it's not as simple as a plant extract. He would need to provoke the Volturi, which he knows would not be a simple task, but a task willing to take if he ever lost Bella. Bella realizes the Volturi title amongst the vampire class and would like a little clarification on these refined, well respected, and sciences with an art inspired Van Gogh. We would like more talk on the matter of the Volturi and Edward's belief on the soul if it weren't for the rude teacher interrupting. I personally liked the fact that this moment of interaction would have been more personable if it was kept to the book style of their discussion at Bella's home. There wouldn't be hushed tones of talking about the vampire lore. Edward could recite scenes of the moment while Bella is cuddling with him. We would just simply get a more clear understanding of Edward's thoughts, and that's what we all want, especially since we know the next scene is coming, her sucky birthday dinner. It started out nice and well designed like the book expressed for her night out at the Cullens' house party. Everyone is happy for Bella celebrating her birthday since they don't really do it now as vampires. Rosalie actually tries to act nice. She even got her a gift. Emmett got her a new car radio since hers basically belongs in the grave. Carlisle and Esme got her plain nope. She cut her finger. Now she is a full course buffet for a house full of vampires, especially Jasper, the youngest of the family to have been on the vegan diet the least amount of time. The action scene of Edward kind of lightly pushing Bella like a frickin' rag doll to safety turns into a blood crime scene. Jasper goes frantic, and you hear hissing out of most of the Cullens as they try to hold back Jasper. Even the gut-clenching moment when you feel nearly dead yourself when Alice stops calming Jasper and smells Bella's blood. Her voice pitch and face acting was literally flawless. I get chills every time I watch that scene. We get a brief moment with Daddy Carlisle. The book I felt had better dialogue and understanding for Carlisle and Edward. The book helps you see Carlisle's life that he built for himself and his family. You have almost a high regard for him every time he is read or even on the screen because of his morals. The book goes into detail on his years and years of practice being a doctor because of his love for life. He utilizes his enhanced abilities to save people when others can't. Carlisle also discusses his religious beliefs and his not-so-well relationship with his father, but because of his father, he became a better man for understanding life and its soul. Carlisle even touches on his first occurrence of turning a human to a vampire, Edward. We understand his love for Edward and the reason he waited all that time alone, along with the care and detail of the right person to turn. Carlisle does close out his discussion that Edward does feel differently about the soul. He feels that he lost his soul, and there is no reason for a form of redemption for life to go on after death. He feels he is literally death with no true happy ending worthy of having. Now, the movie doesn't go into these details like the book does. The movie just lightly talks of his blood urges being desensitized, and two of the lines Carlisle does say in the movie, he encourages Bella to question her actions through Edward's viewpoint. If you believed as Edward does, could you take away his soul? Now we have reached a depression period. Edward leaving Bella. The book time frame actually takes place over about 3 to 4 days. I say this because it's not completely clear, but we do know days have gone by with first no Alice or Jasper in school, to then Edward not showing up as well, or even going to Bella's house. Bella knows something is off, and she is concerned by Edward's reactions. Honestly, realistically, sometimes the guy just needs their space, especially after going through a close call in the views of Edward. Breaking up with Bella out of fear of hurting her or even destroying her soul to be a vampire was a very close tragedy. The movie, on the other hand, pushed it to basically the next day. The Cullens didn't show up to school, and upon her arrival at home, she sees Edward waiting for her. Yeah, that is a big time jump. This is the moment of sadness. Edward breaks up with Bella. For one thing, it never ceases to amaze me on how much he wants to protect Bella from danger, yet he willingly takes her to the woods to break up with her. Like, of all people, Bella is gonna cry probably too hard and trip on every tree trunk or vine she could find. Definitely a Bella coffin waiting to be planted saying R.I.P. Isabella Marie Swan died tripping in the woods and bled to death. Anyways, this moment in the book and movie is practically word for word. We have to leave Forks. They are noticing Carlisle's age. I mean my family and myself. To think of Jasper's actions. You don't belong in my world. Speaking the words slowly, he says, I don't want you to come with me. For once, the action on Kristen Stewart's part as Bella in this moment was amazing for her, observing every word with a hopeful hint of denial, yet understanding how unimportant she truly is to Edward. She feels his words and actions change things in regards to their relationship. Edward still asks for Bella to not be reckless. But in this moment, I always enjoy the camera scenes of this technically their final interaction in the beginning of the movie. Edward says as the final cut of a clean break to letting her go, you're just not good for me. You physically see the camera moving sideways around Bella as if she is physically wobbling, like her world is crashing around her. You sense the blood flow stopping in her face, and you feel that sudden panicked heartbeat. Then he gives her a final kiss on the forehead and disappears. Wow, this movie moment was every thought I have ever had in this interaction breakup for the two of them from the book. I am always floored at the emotions and the physical camera work to give you that break moment. Literally breathtaking. Bella sadly runs after Edward, forgetting he has super speed, and tries to search for him. She winds up curling into a ball as her world finally crashes around her and is lost in the middle of God knows where in the woods. She is found by a new character, Sam, who was requested for his help by Charlie. Now, I'm going to talk about 3 minor details that are very different and are also not fully utilized in the movie versus the book. The car radio, missing photos, and Alice's emails. Allow me to explain. First is the car radio. In the movie, before Bella's birthday, she is driving to school and her car radio is blasting with music to sudden static and then a mention of high death rates of concern from animal attacks. We then get the complaints from Edward and Emmett that her car radio is ancient. They get her a radio as a gift. They also install it for her so she cannot replace it. This was a slight plot point to get you hooked on who are these deaths by, giant bears, or rather wolves, and the replacement of the radio as a birthday gift. The gift is slightly touched on by Jacob later in the movie of its removal. Now, the difference in the book, Charlie later on warns Bella of animal attacks and tells her to not venture into the woods. Edward hints at Bella that her car radio has horrible reception after school. Even though she is gifted a new car radio, the book reacts like any normal breakup to rip out the radio gifted to her out of anger. I personally would have loved to see the side of Bella, to not just have the sadness, sudden gaping hole of emptiness, but even the actions of feeling almost dependent, but to also get the anger of the breakup out too by ripping out that car radio. The second is missing photos. Charlie and Renee give Bella a camera and photo album to document her final year spent at school. The movie does it right by their gift, but how the gift is used is a different story. In school, she gives Mike, Eric, Lauren, and Jessica her camera in the school parking lot to take random pictures. She later takes pictures of Edward and has Alice document her birthday. Later in the evening, she prints it out and places his photo folded in her album. Later, it is missing. Literally never touched on again. But in the book, she is still gifted the camera and photo album by Charlie and Renee, but the actions have changed. She takes photos with her so-called friends, Mike, Eric, Angela, Jessica, Lauren, Ben, in the cafeteria during the round table talk. She allows Charlie to take her photo in the living room with Edward and later folds it in her album. She does search to see if he is real after his departure and finds his photo gone. But later in the book, when Edward returns home, he informs her that his picture never left the house. It was always left hiding in her room. Third is Alice's emails. The movie has Bella express her feelings in the form of sending emails to Alice. Each email is sent and dated for each day of his leaving, and sometimes it was more than one email. These were desperate moments of Bella trying to hold on to the world she once knew, and in a way to hold on to her sanity that they are or were real. It is also a way for us as viewers to physically hear Bella talk or even express herself through this moment of almost silence that she is perceiving to the outside world, like to her classmates and her father Charlie. I do have to say this was a unique touch and choice of screen moments for understanding, even rolling with an updated style of emails versus a journal. Let's be honest, journals are all overused and can be easily read by unwanted people, especially if there are vampire slayers out there. Now, the book places you solely in Bella's thoughts at all times. We as a reader are understanding her fully in emotions, thoughts, and even at times physically because of the pain she is having for her sudden loss. Even though this is a point to make, could there have been a better way? I feel the way the movie portrayed the actions and feelings of Bella through an email was brilliant. Definitely satisfied with the choice they made to further direct Bella's views. I don't doubt my Twihards can do the best to analyze. If you have a thought to point out, leave it in the comments below since we can't talk about every little detail during this video. Before we touch on our dreamy, shirtless Jacob, let us discuss Bella's time in school and, most importantly, her classmates. The most underrated characters of the film are Angela and Eric. Ben is just no longer present, and same with Lauren. The book informs you of Angela and Eric's appearances have changed when Bella is no longer in silence after her breakup. The movie does change their appearances, like the book expresses, to help you show the time passing, which is about 4 months. Basically, after this moment, you don't see them again until the Eclipse movie. You get the confirmation phone call from Bella on her second trip to the theaters with Mike and Jacob, but that is it. Unfortunately, Bella's first after-school activity consists of a night out with Jessica at the theaters. After seeing a zombie movie, Jess expresses she is upset that she was placed aside because it's Jessica's world or not at all. She barely comprehends how much this breakup affected Bella emotionally. You know, she is just so depressed. Before I get further triggered, we get Bella's first adrenaline rush of danger. Bella sees Edward as basically an hallucination the moment she realizes she's putting herself too close to danger. Edward basically becomes her conscience of danger to avoid, which makes sense. She viewed Edward as her form of a savior and protector, literally her everything. Just like in the book, Bella starts to stop listening to Jessica and walks towards a gentleman near his bike. He seems similar to her endangerment from her last time in Port Angeles of the group of men. As she walks closer to One-Eyed Pete's bar, she starts to not only lightly interact with Edward and his velvet voice, but proceeds to then talk to the gentleman who is not who she thinks he is. This is where the difference lies. Bella goes for a ride on the bike with the said guy and then freaks out for the danger she could be in and goes back to upset Jessica. Whereas the book, Bella walks away and is starting to question her somewhat sanity of what she was seeing and how to possibly replicate the action of seeing him again, but she also has to deal with an upset Jessica. Luckily, we don't get much more of Jessica in the movie, and to be honest, I don't really like her. Bella is now heavily thinking on how to replicate her adrenaline and stumbles upon broken motorcycles. You know where the direction of this is going. Jacob. Jacob is now completely a part of this movie. Jacob approves his help with Bella on fixing these motorcycles for activity purposes. We are aware that Jacob is only like 16, even though he does not look like it. In the few interactions we see on the screen and even in the book, we come to understand that Jacob, in a way, becomes Bella's healer. He understands Bella even without her saying anything. He watches her like a wolf to its prey and finds ways to calm her, yet help her. As an example, Jacob in the book notices Bella holding her stomach out of anxiety, and this invisible hole she is trying to repress. He also notices small actions like turning off the radio or even avoiding conversations that get too close to Edward's name, accidentally bleeding, or even the talk of age. Where, as in the movie, Jacob outright points them out to Bella to show her that he sees and won't shelter her because he is the shelter. She does not have to hide from him. He basically knows without her having to say. This point of character development that the movie drops on our lap helps us to grow an attachment to Jacob as a new form of a protector. I mean, they literally help you feel this small, abbreviated section of the book in the movie. It basically states, Jacob was a perpetually happy person. He carried the happiness like an aura. He was like an earthbound sun whenever someone was with his gravitational pull. Jacob warmed them. You can clearly see this development. You physically get a sense of warmth from him. To even point out how they did this is by the camera shading. When Edward is on the screen, for this movie, you get a sense of cold because of the lighting and the slight cool tone colors. The moment Jacob is in interactions with Bella, you get warmer colors as he progressively makes her happier in the movie, like the sun. I would like to touch on Jacob's fur wrens, since they are important to this movie and in the next. Embry and Quill are the primary friends to Jacob, and you see them all joke around together in the garage. You do come to understand that Jared, Paul, and most importantly Sam, are not a favorite topic of discussion for these boys. Currently, the boys view Sam and his small group as a somewhat cult. Little do they know that shortly all three of them will be joining Sam's pack, but not in the views that they originally thought. The moments of slight interaction with the boys and discussions of Sam are similar but not quite the same to the book. Fast forward to Bella and Jacob going to the theaters with Mike. Just like in the book, both of the boys' hands are facing up on Bella's armrests, so for a viewer like me, this is comedic and directly mentioned in the book as well. Mike gets sick midway and insists on going home. While he is still in the bathroom vomiting his guts up, we get a heart-to-heart discussion between Bella and Jacob. Jacob does come on too strong at some points and informs Bella that for him, everything is meaning different. He clearly cares for Bella and is always there for her, and that she can count on him because he will not let her down. Bella tries to lightly inform Jacob of his boundaries and that she is broken beyond repair, and she does come to realize she has used Jacob too long as a crutch in her healing and never meant to hurt him by pulling him along like she has. This moment of explanation was very close to the book, just slightly pulled from smaller, similar discussions between the two of them. I mean, Bella did at this point heavily encourage his feelings for her and borderline flirted with him for the last few months. Once Mike is feeling a little better and presents his face again, his actions were a tad unkind and randomly triggers Jacob. Jacob does get very angry, and this is the moment we realize something is changing in him. Puberty. Wolf puberty. Jacob has now stopped all communication to Bella out of fear of hurting her. Little does he know that she is in more danger than he thought. In the one interaction movie scene, they place it sooner than later in comparison to the book, but Jacob tries to tell Bella to stay away, that he doesn't want to be friends anymore. Get it? Anyways, he basically uses similar lines like Edward did to cut the ties. He tells Bella that he is not good for her, like he used to be, and that he doesn't want the relationship. He is basically breaking his promises to her that he said just a few days ago. Bella outright says she needs more time and wonders if he is breaking up with her. This was a very raw moment, and the movie pulled it sooner than it was meant to be, but still necessary and nicely placed. Bella starts getting another itch of wanting an adrenaline rush due to missing the velvet voice. At this time, we in the movie and book, we have had the velvet voice at least twice. First at One-Eyed Pete's, second on her motorcycle lessons with Jacob, and now third in the meadow. Bella wants to confirm that Edward was real and he was not an imaginary person. She hopes that she can confirm this by going to their meadow. The meadow with Jacob was unsuccessful in the book, and this took place over a couple days. But in the movie, she found it in one shot. Not pre-prepping with Jacob either. Basically, the only similar thing in the movie is that she called Jacob with no callbacks, got bored, and went hiking on her own. The book definitely utilized quite a few days, and if not weeks, of them searching for this meadow, with no callbacks from Jacob as well, and then deciding to go hiking herself. Bella, also in the books, found the Cullens' home and saw how overrun it had come over the last few months of no use. She also felt more hurt because it pushed clearer how much more that they left her behind and enforced as if they never existed. Back to the movie, the third time Bella hears the velvet voice again again is in the meadow. Bella didn't just find the meadow, she also found Laurent. Literally, the motorcycle rides seem safer like kittens compared to this interaction. Edward returns to Bella in her panicked frame of mind due to knowing she is alone and cannot fight off a vampire. Bella also in the book, compared to the movie, realizes in herself that vampires were not just a dream, but a reality for her. Because in the book, you sense her wavering in herself slightly the truthfulness of their existence in a way. Back to Laurent, Bella clearly realizes that he is still living off of human blood because his eyes are a deep red. She tries to lie to him that the Cullens are still around and just busy. She is unconvincing in the movie just as in the book because she has a hard time expressing Edward's name. While Laurent is talking with Bella, he does fill her in on the details of missing people, Victoria. She is searching for Bella and has plans to make her suffer. But yet, he will be kinder and not have her suffer like Victoria plans. Rather, her death will be quicker at his hands. He admits he was hunting and her smell burns his thirst and enriches his mouth to the point of watering, and it's a pure compliment coming from him. As Laurent is very close to her and about to make the bite of death to the neck, you see on the screen, just as you read in the book, Laurent looks left and quickly backs away. He expresses he doesn't believe it, and a pack of very large wolves step forward. This moment always feels so impressive between the book and the movie. The wolves are massive, and their fur is nicely texturized throughout the movie. Most of all, you don't expect these wolves to be so big when you're imagining them in the book, but the movie does do them justice. The wolves then go after Laurent, and Bella runs home. Later that night, Bella is visited by Jacob. It is just a thing now that Jacob, I guess, has to be shirtless every time he's on the screen. Literally, Bella cannot stop staring at his chest. I swear, for most of the scene. I mean, she even debated on not letting him go, if not touch him more. She discusses her thoughts in the book of his warmth and strength, and the movie clearly shows her struggling to not touch him further. Jacob clearly wants to tell Bella what is going on and can't because of master control, but he encourages her to remember the stories he told her once before on the beach. Jacob expressed that it would be much easier for him to cope if she knew. The next morning, Bella slaps, and I mean slaps, Paul in the face out of anger for what they have done to Jacob and his changes. This moment of slapping Paul was not done in the book, only in the movie, but nonetheless, it did give the scene a little more edge. Anyways, Sam tries to encourage him to calm down while Jared and Embry kind of encourage his anger when all of a sudden, Jacob comes yelling and running towards Bella. Then both Paul and Jacob burst out of their skin and clothes like fireworks and started attacking each other. This moment of fighting and Sam encouraging Bella to go back to Emily's was just like the book. When we get to Emily's, I'm gonna stop here for a moment out of pure happiness. Not only is most of the time spent in her kitchen with the Wolf Boys' interactions exactly like the book, but so is her kitchen and the entire setup. I was so happy to see Emily's place so near to perfection. The only, and I mean only major difference is her house color. Like, legit fangirling over here, y'all. Emily and Bella even introduced each other as vampire and werewolf girls. I chuckle in happiness on these small details. Now that Bella officially knows Jacob is a werewolf, all the walls seem to be completely down now, which is sad too because Bella is literally all over him. She nearly encourages his feelings even though she doesn't want to be with him. Maybe she is just horny. Anyways, Bella again is annoyed for being alone even though she just went traveling in the woods not even last week by herself. Now she wants more of the velvet voice and literally jumps off a frickin' cliff because it is the only way. Oh my holy water, Bella. You do realize it's storming out and you are the most klutzy person I know. I swear it is nearly suicide. But she digresses. She winds up panicking, thinking she saw and technically did see Victoria coming near her. During the panic, she collides into a rock and is shortly after pulled out of the ocean by Jacob. So this scene in the movie is just like the book. Slight difference would be that after Bella is pulled from the ocean and living, Jacob takes Bella to his place to get warm, then he takes her home. In the movie, he just takes her home. Again, Bella is all over Jacob, and we all know it is more than just the warmth. While in Bella's truck, Jacob mentions his feelings again. and Bella nearly allows him to kiss her. She is really enticing him. She is literally a doggy treat at this moment. Is this technically a cougar action now on her part? We then realize Carlisle's car, and Jacob is concerned that it could be a trick. After Bella snaps at Jacob and forces him away, what a bitch, she walks into her house and bumps into Alice. The movie and book interactions of Bella and Alice are very similar, yet the time frames are not the same. The book has Alice staying for about a day or two, whereas the movie only takes place over a few short hours. The book's interactions of Bella, Alice, and at one point Jacob is a little drawn out, but still extremely informational, of course. The movie placement helps condense the scene and, to be honest, made it more entertaining. Alice does tell Bella that she has never known someone so prone to life-threatening idiocy. That line catches me every time in laughter. The movie does inform Bella that Edward only calls every few months. Because the movie condenses the time of Charlie not being home due to helping the Clearwaters, the book does give us a little bit more Edward information and confirmation that he will not be returning. You also get the sense of how tired Charlie is, not just because of his job and his dear friend's death, but also because he is concerned of Bella's health and mindset due to Alice's brief visit. Again, the movie does give Charlie great justice as more screen time, but to further get that emotion from him, I would have loved for this to have been included. Now that I have ranted on Charlie missed out opportunity for more screen time, let's get back to Alice and Jacob. In the movie, Jacob walks into the house blatantly to check up on Bella to make sure she is safe. Alice jives not only at his smell of dog, but couldn't see Victoria because Bella spends too much time with Jacob and his mutt friends. The book didn't quite do this scene. They had Jacob call her house phone and didn't visit her till the next day. Let's skip all of that and just push to the anxiety part, the phone call from our velvet voice. Alice steps out of the house briefly to let Jacob and Bella have a moment in the kitchen. In the book, you have Bella's thoughts racing, saying, I hadn't made a decision yet. In so many real ways, I love him. Maybe it would feel nice. Betraying just myself? Bending face forward toward me, undecided. Jacob answers a phone call during their nearly kissing moment, and Jacob knows it is Edward, but proceeds to be very blunt in his responses and his misinformation as well. He nearly gives Edward the idea that Charlie is at Bella's funeral. Alice then rushes into the house and informs Bella that Edward is going to the Volturi, and they quickly leave. Jacob tries to get Bella to stay by saying to her in the movie, he left you, Bella. He didn't want you anymore, remember? Wow, that was harsh, Jacob. Book Jacob was way kinder. He simply begged her not to go. He told Bella she would be safer with him compared to being taken to the Volturi like a bottle of wine for a blood party. I mean, the movie did at the end of his scene say, I am begging you, but at that point, he was already rude on so many levels. The book has you walk through your flight with Bella and Alice with their brief discussions and feelings of concerns. Easily a whole chapter of this. Instead, the movie placed little snippets of a flight to a yellow Porsche and Alice telling you what Volturi have discussed with Edward and what Edward is planning on doing in just a few hours. I felt that even though this was a fast-paced moment, it was definitely well done and honestly preferred. We do see the crowds full of red capes for St. Marco's Day. In these moments on the screen and even in the book, your body feels adrenaline rush of knowing you are pressured for time and everything is at stake. I absolutely love how the movie kept that feeling and basically intensified it. Not only do you sense the rush of the fast car and the driving through the thick red-caped crowd, but the action of Alice honking the car horn gives you the added touch. Once you know the time of noon, it pushes you through Bella running through the crowd and hearing the bells toll. Like, you physically start counting the tolls. I mean, I know I did at least. You feel the further rush when Bella is forcefully pushing through the intense crowd. You cut to a little girl in the book and movie about waist high, staring into the somewhat shadows at Edward and gesturing to her parents to look. Sparkle, Edward, sparkle. Then you have Bella running through the water in her final moments of the bell tolls, and you can only imagine the heavy pants and the shoes somewhat weighing her down and even freezing because of the wind gusts through the cramped city. When Bella finally crashes into Edward, you can sense her breathless in many ways. One way is from the crazy amount of running she just did, and then two, for slamming into his stone-like body. Wow, the movie was perfectly in line with the book for this moment, and I absolutely loved it. Now, this is where similarities really start to change in the book and the movie. The similarities, first, would be Edward informs Felix and Dimitri that they are no longer needed for their services. Alice walks in and tells the boys to all settle down. Jane joins the group shortly after, and all the emotions stop. Edward stays close to Bella, and they remain close in the elevator with Alice. The receptionist is human, and she knows they are vampires. Her receptionist area is just like the book. We meet Alec, and he is shocked that Jane came back with 2.5 guests and that she is a clever girl. The dome roof is magnificent with pillars of granite and detailed tiled flooring, along with window slits along the wall to roof line to keep the sunlight at bay. The Volturi appearances of Arrow, Caius, and Marcus are all exactly as described in their appearances. The discussion of Bella's sweet aroma is intoxicating, and her mortality is also mentioned due to being the only viable option of her staying alive at this point. Arrow tries to read Bella's thoughts and can't. Wonderful becomes the new phrase of the day, and then Edward doesn't want Jane to touch Bella and ends up writhing in Jane's enforced pain until Bella yells at her to stop. When Jane tries, she cannot cause the pain to Bella because her mind blocks them all out. They leave with a timestamp of Bella to be a vampire and hear the screaming of new guests being the new meal for the Volturi. We awake from what feels like a nightmare to Bella's bedroom with Edward nearby. Now you must be wondering, Ash, what are the differences then from the book? We do not get a detailed tour of the tunnels. Edward is still acting as a somewhat statue in his stance next to Bella. He does not breathe her in or hold on to her lovingly like he does in the book. Jane scoffs at Edward and Bella's interactions more than she does in the movie. Even though the Volturi room is similar in description, there's only 3 chairs instead of like 7, and I feel like the benches don't count, and the secretary lounging areas are also not that similar. Yes, we get the Volturi and their few bodyguards, but their wives are not present at all in the room. Felix is ordered to kill Bella, but Edward tries to protect Bella and nearly dies until Bella tells them all to stop again. I get this is already an intense moment, but I didn't want a fight scene necessarily. It was beautiful to see the effects of their quick movements and immense power, further fighting, but I just felt that this scene was nice, but not necessarily needed. Maybe a slight preparation of camera work for the next movie of the fighting? I don't know. I do know some say that Felix is possibly fighting Edward for the attention and want of Bella's love or even her blood. I find that to be interesting. Bella is bold and then tells the Volturi that they do not know anything about Edward's soul. Upon their leaving and guests entering, you do not see a woman scared of her wits shaking with her rosary. I personally would have loved this added touch. We get Bella wanting to stay awake with the whole time for her flight home. A perfect added touch of the Coke providing a paid ad-like appearance to keep her awake would have been funny. Bella then interacts with the Cullens at the airport and how they are so happy for Bella's help for keeping Edward alive and are overly thankful, even Rosalie. Charlie is very upset that Edward has the nerve to show up on his doorstep with Bella. Bella then sleeps and awakens to Edward beside her. Wow, we missed out on another Charlie scene. But I mean, we do get him saying she is grounded, so I guess I can accept that line. Instead, we get in the movie when Bella wakes to Edward, he does inform her that Charlie is not happy and he came through the window, not the door. So technically, he didn't break any rules. Edward does express why he left and regretted every moment of it. It was also the hardest thing he had ever done in over 100 years. Edward will find ways to keep the Volturi in the dark. Bella gets upset and tells Edward they need to go to the Cullens' house for a meeting. Bella tells the family she wants a vote for her becoming a vampire. Everyone gives their opinions, including Rosalie. We do get her airplane apology in this scene for how she acted and that she is grateful towards Bella, but would never have chosen this life as a vampire and wish someone voted no for her. Such a heart-wrenching moment from Rosalie. I always have a form of almost hateful respect when she is expressing these lines, but she will always be honest, and I do give her credit as the character form for her development. Carlisle expresses that he is not given much of a choice and won't lose his son again, even if it feels like a form of betrayal towards Edward and his feelings. But everyone knows how much Bella means to him, and that is why Carlisle's answer is spoken, yet very clear on his choice. Daddy Carlisle, why must you be so amazing? Bella in the book feels she is an increasing danger magnet and wants to be turned right now and asks Alice to do it. Alice is happy to do it, but is nowhere near ready to take that kind of step. Edward and Bella on their car ride home talk about when would be the best time to change. Bella wants Edward to do the honors of changing her, and she admits that she can wait till after graduation to make it easier on Charlie. Such a thoughtful daughter, finally, since he is nearly on his own brink of a human heart attack for how quick she leaves him behind. On the other hand, Edward wants years of being human and heavily expresses that in the book, and even at times in the movie, it is lightly touched upon. In the book, Edward makes almost a bargain that he will turn Bella on her technically desired time, but only if she marries him. Forever as a vampire is really no different than forever as a married couple. Bella still feels differently though. The book has Bella and Edward back in school and preparing for college applications and choices. On the way home from school, they park in front of Bella's house with motorcycles present. Bella never told Edward she was leaving Jacob phone calls and still decides to discuss what they need to do in the woods. In the movie, they nearly hit Jacob after their Cullen family meeting at Bella's home. They step into the woods and have a discussion of reminders that if a human is turned, the treaty is broken. Bella is upset that it is her choice and not theirs if she is willing to become a vampire. Jacob does not allow this thought or even action. Edward does express his thanks to Jacob for keeping Bella alive when he couldn't and tries to direct Bella to leave because Jacob is starting to get upset. Bella tells Jake that she does love him, but she doesn't want to be forced to choose because in the end, it will always be Edward. Edward pushes Jake away, no doubt because of what he sees in his mind, and Bella yells between them that you can't hurt each other without hurting me. This whole scene of their three-person discussion is very close to the book with some slightly minor details that are different yet still satisfying. Now, this is the moment where Edward tells Bella that under one condition he will change her if she marries him. You get a pause from Bella with an intake of breath and then the scene ends. What the howling frick? The movie leaves you on a cliffhanger? Well done. Even though that moment was not like the book, I did not mind that twist at all. I would like to discuss one final thing for this movie, Romeo and Juliet. Throughout the book, we get the slight quotes or thoughts of Romeo and Juliet, and at one point, of Paris as well. We Twihards understand that Romeo is Edward, Juliet is Bella, and Paris is Jacob. Jacob is always fighting for Bella's affection, but not quite to the point of winning. I feel that it would have been cool to have Bella and Edward maybe reenact as small snippets the Shakespearean time frame, falling in love in like a black and white flashback, instead of just talking about or taking the easy poison mixture for death. To add that extra layer of love or forbidden romance, then towards the end of the movie, we cut to a small scene in Bella's mind where it dawns on her that Edward and Jacob are about to interact, and we see Edward and Jacob in the Shakespearean time again, fighting as Romeo and Paris. Paris then falls to his death and does not win Juliet's love or affection. I feel this added layer of character development from the book would have helped us to see that Romeo and Juliet's love story is forbidden, yet undeniably true love in a more adult vampire world kind of way. I don't know, that is just my thoughts. Well, here is where I wrap it up and tell you, yes, I plan for a third video. Sorry it took so long, but it took some convincing between my random Twilight jokes and y'all's amazing comments and feedbacks that made this second video possible. So I thank you. Trust me, I have so many videos lined up to talk about for books versus movies and including shows. But Twilight will always be super close to my heart, so make sure you drop a thumbs up and a comment below of whatever you feel I missed because I am more than willing to talk about anything to my fellow Twihards. Drop a comment below of what team you are on, Team Edward, Team Jacob, Team Carlisle, Team Volturi, heck, maybe even Team Mike. I guess we should try to let a human be the runner-up, but that is up to y'all. Remember to be kind in your comments. I want to point out that these video discussions are solely based around the theatrical movie and the book itself that it is based around. I'm not going over the deleted scenes because not everyone is a Twihard, and I'm keeping it to the everyone will know level. Trust me, I would love to talk about all the deleted scenes we missed out on, but they are deleted scenes at the end of the day. Again, leave a comment, y'all. Don't forget to hit the subscribe and bell notifications to see when we drop our next video. Here is where I bite back my fangs and I call it to the end of the video. So stay nerdy and keep binging, you Twihards.